Hello, hello. Welcome in, everyone, to a special afternoon premiere of a special project that we have been working on. Welcome into chat. Miss Shorty, Lisa, welcome in, the OG member number 1. Eliza, welcome in. Dizzy, always good to have you in here. Thank you for having my back and for your help in everything. Queen Olive, Butterfly. Welcome in, Butterfly. Akasha, welcome in. Good to see everybody, all the OGs, including the OG number 1. I have a new face tracking camera, so I got to make my movements really slow because I go from one side of the screen to the other. Rachel, good to see you. Akasha, thank you for joining. Welcome in as a new member, along with Eliza. Is that Eliza or Eliza or Eliza? You need to tell me so I can pronounce it right, because there are 3 different pronunciations that cross my mind. But this special project we've been working on for more than a couple of weeks. But I noted on the day before my birthday, on May 7th, that it was the 4-month anniversary. So that's 3 weeks ago. No, that's 2 weeks ago. I can math. I promise I can math. That it was the 4-month anniversary of the LA wildfires. And I remembered back to January when those first hit the news, and they were all the news for days and even weeks until they got them put out. And then as a society, we turned our attention and our focus elsewhere. And I was just curious. So we sent a correspondent out in the field to get video footage of the properties of the affected areas, just to see where everybody's at in the rebuilding process. And it was a remarkable situation to see those properties that were affected in the LA wildfires. I hope you guys can hear me. Miss Shorty, oh, thank you. Okay, good point. Very good point, Miss Shorty. Everything, every super chat, every super sticker, everything that everybody sends today is going to charities. So we have 2 charities in mind that we're going to be donating to that have been vetted. So this one, oh, gosh darn it, where's that website at? I just had the websites up. That's not it. There we go. So there's the California Community Foundation Wildlife Recovery Fund, LA Strong. They have a direct and meaningful impact. They help 200 nonprofit organizations through their foundation. So it's a legitimate organization and it's been vetted. And that's one of them that we will be donating to. And then the other one has also been vetted, and it's one that I have closer ties to. And so obviously I know this one's legit too. It's the Eaton Fire Resource Hub. So Eaton Fire Resources, the Eaton Fire is the one that was way up north, like up against the foothills of the mountain. It actually started in the foothills of the Angeles National Forest. So, and the Eaton Fire is the one we're going to be checking out today by happenstance. It's the one where I had people that I know that were affected by it and were displaced. Fortunately, they didn't lose their homes or their property, but they were displaced and affected, and they do know people that did lose their homes and their jobs and were more affected than that. So those are the 2 charities that we're going to be. Oh no, hold on, Salty, I'll get you a link. Salty's going to come up here and join me. She hasn't seen this yet, so we're going to get her take on it fresh and raw. I got to get to her the link in Discord though. So hold on with me 1 second. Discord, where'd you go? I had you right there. Let's see. Try that one. Yes. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you for that. They're going to help people who are still affected by it. I mean, you think 4 months later, and I think the general concept may be, or the general belief, I'm going to say that the general belief may be that it's California, that people are rich, that people are wealthy. Hey, Salty, welcome in. I'm glad that link worked.
Yeah, the other one just like there was nothing, no screens. I got on the computer. I was like, well, he's live, but my phone was like, no, he's not. It said it had ended like a minute and some seconds into it. And I was like, So I checked on the computer and you were up and running. So yeah, glad to be here. But it's okay. I had to get a minute. I had to get something to drink and chill for a moment.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a full day and a little bit longer to go, right? So
That's
this was
okay.
labor of love. Yes, Dizzy, you are correct. Where'd that go? Doot, 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 doot. Boom.
This is important, right? Like there you go, Dizzy. Absolutely. Because this is important and I agree. And I told you I supported this 1,000% and I thought it was a great idea as well. I know Dizzy supported you with it and so we're looking forward to seeing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
she did more than support. She helped quite a
yeah,
bit. Yeah,
yeah,
and basically put it together. I was basically the idea man, so
yeah.
I'm not gonna extend credit to myself where it's not due. I was the idea person, and our correspondent in the field went out and did all the legwork with getting the video footage, and then Dizzy put it together. And I really like the end product, and hopefully it's impactful and it's meaningful. That's the idea of this. So thank you for getting the ball rolling, Miss Shorty. I appreciate that so much.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to do, you know me, I can't just like dive right into the actual video that was put together, that we put together. I've got to do a backdrop. I've got to set it up. So I pulled some videos off of YouTube and put together a playlist. So we're going to go all the way back to the beginning when we first heard about it. And then as time goes by, and I'm not going to spend that much time on it, it's going to be like a half hour, 45 minutes that we're going to. I really do want to watch the video of when residents were allowed to start going back to their homes, because that one was pretty impactful. And I thought the news channel that put that together did a really good job in highlighting the human interest aspect of this and the impact that it has. Because like I was saying, a lot of people think, oh, it's California, people are wealthy, people are rich, they're,
Yeah,
why are we really going to care about them? Because they're human beings. And
exactly. And it's really to walk back to your home after a natural disaster, and not knowing what to expect and then seeing something you never thought you'd see. It's impactful. It's life changing. It's devastating, right? That's all the things. And it doesn't really matter what your walk of life is. It could have been your shack. It's going to have the same impact, right? For most people.
it doesn't matter where you live. Like we were talking about
Hmm.
yesterday, you're in Florida, so you don't have to deal with wildfires for the most part. I mean, they have them
No,
occasionally there, but it's
yeah.
wet. So they put them out pretty quick, but you do have to deal with other natural disasters.
Oh, yeah. We're hurricane country. That's our biggest and only worry.
Right. And
Tropical
then,
storms come and go. They float around in the Gulf all the time, but hurricanes are a whole other beast, and the aftermath is devastating. So I've always wondered growing up, you hear on the news tornadoes and you see this devastation, and then you see the wildfires and you see the devastation. And I noticed that every region has their thing. And then the media, right, they do their thing, it goes away, right? But the impact goes far deeper and lasts much longer. And recovery is hard for a lot of these people. So many factors come into play, right?
Yes, and we'll talk more about some of those factors.
Yeah.
After we watch the prelude with the other news interviews, and then we watch the video, and there are a couple of shorter videos after that. They'll watch about the rebuilding process.
Yeah, nice.
So let's go back to January 7th of this year, which seems like so long ago. Like I barely remember this being in the news. I mean, I remember it vividly, but I mean, it just seems like a lot longer ago than 4 months.
Yeah.
This is new aerial video of a sixth fire breaking out Wednesday night, the Sunset Fire, based in the Hollywood Hills. Mandatory evacuations were issued Wednesday night.
I live here. I've been here for 21 years, but yeah, it's time to get out, I think.
This is new video of traffic gridlock as people flee their homes for safety. Thousands of homes and businesses destroyed.
It's just jumping from home to home right now. With this wind, there's nothing to stop it.
Wind gusts reaching 100 miles per hour, making fighting the flames difficult.
The fires being fueled by a combination of strong Santa Ana winds and surrounding topography, which makes it extremely challenging for us firefighters.
LA's Mayor Karen Bass returning to California today from an overseas trip to Ghana, speaking to the public, thanking first responders and reminding residents to heed evacuations.
Hurricane force winds are usually accompanied by rainstorms, but these are hurricane force winds that are combined with extremely dry drought conditions.
Those who evacuated unsure of what they'll return home to.
This is pretty devastating. This is pretty devastating. I don't think LA's seen anything like this before.
As of Wednesday night, the largest and most devastating fires so far are the Palisades Fire and the deadly Eaton Fire. In Pasadena, the Eaton Fire claimed at least 5 lives and also destroyed structures. A preschool went up in flames. As you see here, first responders ushered residents out of a senior living facility to safety, masks on to protect them from the dangerous air conditions. And a warning from the Los Angeles County District Attorney after 2 people were arrested for looting.
If you think for a moment that you can take advantage of this right now or over the next weeks, months, or even years, you are wrong.
We want to go to Joy Benedict now, who is following the fire in the Eaton Canyon.
I'm just going to let it roll.
The Eaton fire in Altadena in that area. And Joy, we've seen homes go up in flames.
I do have to say though that they mentioned a preschool that went up in flames in that last video, and I realized that the people that I know that live in the area have a friend, and I asked for an interview, and nobody would agree to an interview because this is still so raw for them. Nobody, and plus nobody wants to share their personal information too much. I said we can do it anonymously, like we have all these options. Butterfly, thank you.
Oh, nice. Appreciate
Thank you, Butterfly.
that. Yeah, and the when they said the wind speed, I knew that was a Cat 1 wind, and I can just imagine. I know what a Cat 1 wind is. That's normal for us, right? When a hurricane comes, I know exactly what that feels like and looks like. I can imagine that blowing the fire. Okay, so that's why it spreads as quickly as it does. I could only imagine. I can't.
Yeah.
Not combined with fire. Not combined with fire, right? Oh my gosh.
Exactly. No, Remy, no, we're looking back. This is a 4-month retrospect into the LA fires. This is not live footage. I should probably put up a little scroll on the bottom.
Yeah, put your banner up. It's okay. Take your time. You got this.
All right. I'm gonna let this roll. I just wanted to point out though that preschool. I know somebody that knows somebody whose kids went to that preschool.
Oh,
so
it's such a shame.
it doesn't take far to feel the impact of that. And we're on the outside looking in, and they had to live through it, and it impacts their jobs and a lot of other things that just hard to imagine.
Yeah, it's you don't. You don't take all of it into account when you just see the damage to the homes, but it goes beyond that, you know, for a long time. So, or it can.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, what we're dealing with right now, I mean, first of all, it was just so hard to hear those folks talking to Amanda a short time ago. Our heart just bleeds for so many who has lost so much already in this fire. But the truth is the fire is still burning, and it is burning here. We are live right now on Lake Avenue in Altadena. This is a very busy business corridor. What you're looking at right now is motion lit. It is some sort of a business on here. If you look over to the left-hand side, this used to be a cleaner. This was Poppy Cleaners. As we continue to move down this block, we have Lifetime Brakes also destroyed by this fire. Across the street, yet another business that has completely been hollowed out because of these flames that continue to burn right now and smolder. And if you look down the road, we have another, I don't know if this is some sort of a business or an apartment complex that is on fire. Also a total loss. And we are moving down the street right now, and you can see all of the cars that have also been damaged, gutted because of the flames that ripped through here and continue to tear through here right now. Over behind us is a home, and we are going to make a right-hand turn right here. This is Alameda Street, where we do have fire crews that have been trying really hard to stop a couple of homes that have been burning from spreading to other homes. And as you turn down this residential street, you just see that darkness completely takes over because of the smoke and the ash in this community as these things continue to burn. As I talked about the Lifetime Brakes over there, it is very hot as that one is still burning. And then just since we were here maybe 20 minutes or so ago, you can really see the black smoke that's taking over as we have a home over here behind us that has caught fire. You have these cars that are still parked on this roadway, and unfortunately they are also going to go up in flames. Over here to the left-hand side, there were two homes that they were working on trying to put out the fire, obviously trying to prevent that fire from spreading to the homes that continue in this direction. And that is really what firefighters are working on and have been working on throughout the night. At this point, is not necessarily trying to save the one home that's already on fire, but trying to prevent this from spreading into the neighborhoods. The neighborhood that we were in just a few moments ago, where unfortunately you could see those flames coming towards those homes. And there's unfortunately not really much that can be done. And look at the
This reporter is crazy. And I mean, because that little filter mask that she has on is not protecting her for the really harmful stuff that's in the air right there. And she's literally feet from a fire truck and from the flames. I mean,
and talking the whole time, you know, and it's got to be taking its toll on her. I mean, goodness, bless her heart.
She's crazy. And this isn't the only, I saw a couple of other videos with her too that were,
but you know,
right there.
They're boots on the ground, Joe, and they know if they don't go in there and do this, no one's going to see it. Right. And now this day and age, of course, these vehicles are equipped with cameras, you know, and stuff like that. But that's, you know, what, I don't know. It is crazy. I'd like need more protection, right? That's a lot.
Yeah.
The devastation over there across the street. 1, 2, 3, 4 homes that I can see just from where I am right now in this vantage point. And to be honest, you just can't see a lot right now with the smoke that is billowing through here. That was likely a gas tank that just exploded over there behind me. But this is an active fire. It is still burning. It is not under control.
Another explosion.
Scary. So if
she's not even flinching.
In this community, if you are safe somewhere, as I said before, please do not try and come back. Just be thankful that you have and that you are okay, and be thankful for what you have, and let the firefighters do their best to try and protect many of these other fires from burning. We're going to head back out to the street where it's a little less smoky. But before we do, I mean, just take a turn around. I mean, 360 degrees. There's fire burning in all 360 degrees of where we are right now. And some very exhausted firefighters who have been working all night. Right, Captain? Oh, so sorry, sir.
That's Joy. Joy,
as we continue to walk back out to Lake Avenue, You can see the fires that are burning over on the other side. I should mention I'm about a block away from Elliott Middle School that we were at when we started our live shot. They do have a crew there. I could not see. It did not appear that the school had caught fire, but there was a lot of smoke there in the distance as we continue to just have smoke and flames in every direction up here on what is a very busy business corridor. But there is just not much that can be done as things are just falling and crashing all around us because this fire is literally consuming everything in its sight. So far, they are listing the acreage burned as just over 2,000 acres, but just by looking around, I can pretty much guess that it is much larger than that. I'll send it back to you guys.
Joy, it looks like a war zone out there, and you and I have known each other a long time. I know you've covered a lot of fires. The intensity in your voice is something that is it's striking me to see the 360 of the fire and what's happening out there. Do you feel safe where you're at?
I mean, I think, you know, as you said, I've known you a long time, Jamie, and you know I've covered a lot of fires. So my safety level may be different than someone else's safety level, as I have covered a lot of fires. I would not be standing here if I did not feel safe, if my photographer Barry did not feel safe. But we have obviously covered a lot of fires over the years, so my safety level is a little bit more than what other people may feel. But if you are not familiar with fires, if you do not know their direction, if you're not comfortable with embers flying at you, then no, you would not feel safe. And so I do not suggest, just because you see me standing out here on a very busy and burning street, that you think because I'm okay to be here, that you're okay to be here. I'll also mention, you know, and a lot of fire crews do this, our car is running. The keys are in the ignition simply because we need to be able to run at any moment's notice. And that's what you do when you cover a fire. It's little tricks like that.
Well, lady, if you look up and down the street, there's like 20 burned out cars up and down the street. So
yeah, but this lady's coming at this with all she's got. She's 100,000% reporter.
She
and you can
is.
tell she is seasoned at what she's doing. And I knew that question was coming because I was concerned. She didn't flinch. Both times those explosions went off, my ass would have ran.
Right.
Sorry, but I get it because we do ridiculous things during hurricanes that people would side eye us about. I've stood out in tropical storm force winds to see what would happen, but I wouldn't do it in a hurricane, right? There's a difference. And it, you know, it's crazy. We'll take risks other people aren't willing to take. Let me put it that way.
And
Because we
weathermen
know-
take risks.
yeah.
Weathermen
Yeah.
and reporters take risks in hurricanes. They'll stand out there in the middle of that 100
Oh
mile an
yeah,
hour
Jim
gust.
Cantori's coming to town. You're a target, man. We all know that
Yep.
up and down the country.
Right.
So where's
He's a legend.
screw those predictions? Where's Jim going? Oh my God, that's a
and you pick
joke.
up along the way to make sure that you can simply get out. And that's also why I picked this area. I mean, this is a very wide street, so it gives us a space to go into if we need to. I did not walk further into that road because I lost the visibility. We had intended to move a little bit further down that block, but I did not feel it was safe. So we did the 360 and we came out here to Lake Avenue. And we'll try and get you down that road and show you some of the destruction a little bit later on when the winds aren't so strong, but I can actually see where I am, because the last thing I want to do is walk me or my crew into a car that may likely explode, because we have a lot of, like, look at this, turn around, Barry. We were watching this Chevrolet right here. There was a log that was burning right next to it. I mean, it is a foot away from a gas tank, a tank that we could smell when we first came out here 30 minutes ago. And I was standing there a second ago just because the firefighters were able to put out some of those flames that were right next to that car. But those are the dangers that you see on the road. It's not just the homes. It's the things that you don't realize could catch fire or explode, like that explosion that you heard while we were live just a few moments ago. That was likely a gas tank. Was it at a car, or was it a gas tank in a barbecue behind someone's house? I don't know, because we can't see, and I couldn't see where it was coming from, but it's a very familiar sound when you're dealing with a scene like this.
Well, and I wanted you to explain to people, because I'm getting a lot of text messages asking why our reporters are so close to some of these flames, and are you safe? So thank you for describing the measures you have in place, and please continue to stay safe out there, Joy.
Absolutely. We'll get you some more views here in just a few minutes.
And I hope those animals in that animal hospital are safe too, Joy. Thank you so much.
It just
So
like,
just
you know,
real quick.
take the
Go ahead.
whole community. Just takes the whole community, right?
Yeah.
The entire community just gone.
Yep.
Most of it.
The Palisades. So there were four fires in January in the LA area, in LA County. Palisades and Eaton fires were the biggest. Palisades is the one that most people are familiar with because it's in the Malibu area. So there were multi-million-dollar homes that burned to the ground.
I remember that. And I remember when I started to like I said, when I got older and began to realize everybody had their thing, those wildfires just like intrigued me because they would talk about the winds and all those things that triggered the fires and made them spread the way they did. Why things worked, like tornadoes. Twister it's like the most amazing movie. How does it work? Why? Because these things affect people. And, and I know it's like they have the water restrictions out there and all the things, and there's so many factors that go into this, and what is there any kinds of solutions going, I don't know what they can do differently. I don't know I don't know it like that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's an evolution process. It's an evolutionary process. And when I show you in a couple of minutes the origin of the Eaton fire, we can talk about one of the solutions to make things better and reduce the chances.
Right.
Goodness, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I just have to say, I've never seen anything like this here. I grew up in Southern California. This is like nothing we've ever seen, with multiple fires raging across the LA region right now. And here in Malibu, it's truly an apocalyptic scene. We're on the Pacific Coast Highway right now, where home after home after home, beachfront properties are engulfed in flames. I am looking at a mansion right now, a beach view mansion up in the hills that's just basically exploded. And the reason we're separated from my crew right now is because we had just gone a little bit down the road to scope something out, and we turned around and there was then a live wire that had power line had fallen, and a live wire was blocking the road, and now it's blocked first responders. I mean, it's not, the most important thing now is that there are multiple fire trucks here that I'm looking at that are stalled and can't get through because this live wire is down blocking the road. Hey, babe.
Okay, we'll look at this footage in a second. This is door cam footage right across from where the Eaton fire started. And they use this to help figure out where and how the fire started. But first, I'm going to, me, I like my Google Earth.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's intriguing to study it, right? And see what.
Actually, let's go ahead and watch it, because I'm pretty sure I know about where this house is. And I'm 99.9% sure I know where the fire started based on this video. So we'll go ahead and watch this. Let's watch it all the way through. It's just 3 minutes.
I need you to come out here right now. We have a very big problem. What? Oh.
Whoop. Right there. You see that?
So it was like, it looked like it was already really windy in the area. Maybe they were on I'm sorry. A truck rolled by them outside. Were they on alert already, right? Because I'm sure they get like alerts when conditions are conducive to fires. Like we get hurricane warnings. People in the tornado areas get the tornado warnings. Do they get fire warnings? Right? It would do the weather elements play a factor to increase their chances, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out, because if they're in a panic mode, but the fire is this big, then did
right,
this
if there's high winds coming in and
emergency? Yes.
Yeah. If you got like those high winds moving in, a spark could ignite a wildfire.
Yep. And you see what that is, right? That's a an electric transmission line tower.
Okay, so when they were talking about the power lines down, when hurricanes, when they reach 74 miles per hour, it's a hurricane, Cat 1. And I think it's up to 110 would be a cat 2. But so those winds will take down power lines and nobody's business, right? It's just par for the course. So if you got already, older power lines and things of that nature, one good wind, this thing about a straight line wind, if there's a gust, it's going to be stronger than that straight line wind. And the gust off these straight line wind hurricanes is pretty powerful. And it can snap those lines all over the place, which is going to spark, right, and create a fire that just blows up, especially with those high winds. It's crazy.
And we saw
Don't they have like the
those
Santa Ana winds or something, Joe?
Yes,
Like,
that's what caused this. The Santa Ana winds, and they don't go west to east; they go east to west. They go towards the Pacific Ocean, and that means they're bringing in the hot desert air from Arizona, from Nevada. They're coming in with the hot desert air at about 100 miles an hour, going east to west. Yeah, so it completely flips the script. Because we're all in the U.S., we're all used to the weather going west to east, and then the Santa Anas come in and completely flip it, and that's what happened here, and it caused a spark underneath this huge power tower, and this is what they believe started the Eaton fire.
Oh no! Oh my God! No! 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 I'm gonna spray the roof.
Look at those embers flying.
Yep. And they knew when they saw that what this meant.
Please, God, save us. Save our house.
See?
Wow.
Bye.
That's how fast, right?
Yep. Saying goodbye to his house. So we're at 6:53 now, and it started at 6:19, so it's a half an hour later.
That color is just unbelievable, right? That glow of that orange like that.
No. Hey, babe, I need you to come out here right now.
It doesn't take long for total devastation, right?
Yeah. Looks like they play it twice. We don't need to see it twice.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to stop sharing that for just a second, just to bring you all into my world, which is Google Earth. That's the world I live in most of the time. So there's the entire state of California, and the Eaton fire was in Altadena. So let's do a quick drop into Altadena, California. So down on the north side, north of Pasadena, on the north side of Los Angeles, and on the south side of, this is the Angeles National Forest right here. I don't know why I don't have that, why that name doesn't show up here. I have borders and labels on, but that's the that's the Angeles National Forest. And let me turn on my little place marker that I dropped earlier. Boom. The origin of the Eaton fire. That's right where that transmission line goes. If you look at the aerial photo, you can see all of those high voltage transmission lines going through there right there. And the door cam footage we saw was from somewhere down around here. They said at the intersection, somewhere near the intersection of these two roads right here. So it had to be facing that.
It faced it perfectly, right?
Yes. Yep. So it had to be like maybe one of these houses or maybe one of these houses.
Yeah, because that's like up on a ridge, right? Where it started, where your pin is, maybe like elevated.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. The elevation up there.
Close. Yeah.
The elevation up there is 4,000 feet, 3918, and the elevation of these houses is, well, it didn't change. Now it says elevation 0 feet. They're not giving me the elevation, but yes, it's up on a ridge. Well, let's drop down. Let's drop down to Street View. I know you like Street View.
I love me some Street View, Joe.
All right. Come here, little Street View guy. Let's drop you right here. I think it was one of these houses right here.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't know. We got trees. We got trees blocking it right there. Maybe it's
But
down
then
here.
again, what was the foliage like? Yeah. Would have to be somebody with a clear view, right? A clearer, unobstructed view.
Remember last time I had problem clicking forward?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah, it's probably one of these houses here.
Yeah, and it was up on the ridge, and
up there. If you look up there, I think that's where the
like
transmission line goes.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yep. Or maybe up here.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Cool. It's all it takes, you know. One to snap.
So look at this aerial view right here. This is another reason I like Google Earth, because right now, if you look at my little time and date stamp up in the top left corner, it's March of 2024. So 10 months before the fires. And they let you go through click by click and go increase in time over time. And usually it's like once a year. Like in most areas in Indiana, like you can click forward a year. Sometimes it's 3 years between aerial photographs that they take. But there were like 10 photographs in January of 2025. So I want to show that. Here's the first click of January 2025. We go from this from March of 2024, all nice homes. Boom, January of 2025. Things are on fire. The next January of 2025.
It's like smoke, right?
Yep. Yes, that was smoke and fire. And then still smoky and hazy. And then January 2025. Well, I don't know that they have these in order, because these houses and homes all still look in order, and they're not going to in a couple of clicks.
Yeah.
There we go. See the rubble there?
Yeah.
Rubble there, like entire blocks and neighborhoods. And this is where we drove through to look at everything. Next January 2025. So if the winds were blowing east to west, then we want to look and check out the areas west of there. There we go. This is the slide. This is the timestamp. Look at all of those homes, entire blocks destroyed. Over here. Oh my gosh. Entire blocks destroyed.
Yeah, I feel like the person that saw that, right, that we just reviewed, they knew. It's like they knew when they saw that spark and that fire what was going to happen. Because I guess they are used to it, right? Being from the area, you're on alert already, and you know what it means if that happens or what it could mean. So that's not a good feeling, right? It's all,
I think he said goodbye. I think I heard him say goodbye to his house. I'm pretty sure he said goodbye to his house in that video.
Oh yeah, he asked for the Lord to save him in his house too. You know,
Yep.
He knew that it could end very badly real quick, and that's what gets me is how fast it really is. It's like there's not a lot of reaction time, right? That they can apply as far as a response to a fire, especially going up against those kind of winds, the conditions they're up against. You saw how fast those sparks were flying around, right?
Yes. So we'll look at a video of when they start letting people back into their homes, and then we'll get to our video. Yeah, this is it. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward to the next one. They double played this one. Here we go.
So a symbol of some of the memories that you and your family
Wait,
created in
let's go back
this
to the beginning.
backyard.
For residents to even come back and look at the damage, you are their eyes and their ears. Tell us what you've been seeing.
Yeah, Amy, so we are on the corner of Lake in New York. It's kind of chaotic here, actually. So sheriff's deputies are blocking anyone from trying to get into their neighborhoods. A lot of people trying to come back right now to see what's left because people just don't know. They're just seeing the images that we are showing on air. And so people are just wondering what's going on. Lots of people, if you look across the street here, they've been waiting for hours now to just try to get through. I saw that you were getting very emotional. Do you know anything about your house?
It's all burned down. Everything, my kids' school, our community, our neighbors' houses, everything is just burned down. Everything is gone.
I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry. What happened on the night that you guys had to evacuate?
We were having dinner. I told my 3-year-old and my 1-year-old that I told them that we're having a fancy candlelight dinner because the power went out. And then we looked outside, we saw.
Do you see this reporter reaching out to her and offering her comfort? You don't see that from reporters all the time. It's just, I like this reporter a lot. And that's not the last time she'll offer comfort.
We saw a huge fire and we just packed whatever we can and we ran out. It was chaos. On the streets, people were trying to get out. We thought we're going to come back tomorrow, so we didn't even pack anything. We had nothing. We left everything with our 3 and our 1-year-old, and my 3-year-old keeps asking me, Mom, when are we going to go home? Everything, all his friends' houses burned down. The Farnsworth Park that we would go to, the hikes, we would go to the libraries, his little school, ACC, like all of our community is just devastated.
I'm so sorry, and we can see the devastation and the loss here, and this is what a lot of people are coming home to now. Are you trying to get over to your house right now?
I just wanted to see if anything's left. We had everything, like the sentimental things, like my mom passed away. I had only a few things of hers left. My wedding dress, our wedding album, we left everything, our albums, we have just whatever we're wearing. We're wearing the same thing for the last 2 days.
And when you have gone through this area, I mean, what are you thinking about when you see Altadena now?
My heart is broken. I love you, Altadena. I love this community. I love the people in Altadena. We have like meshed so well. Like everybody's so kind. I have patients that live here. I think about my patients, my family. Like these are family. Everybody here, we're just so tight knit, and it's just devastating to see all this. You can't even go. Like some people left out of town. Like, hey, check out my house, and we can't even go to check on their house.
What's next for you, or do you even know what's next?
I'm trying to figure out how to tell my 3-year-old that we don't have a home and we don't have a school. We don't even know where to go, what to do next. We're staying at a friend's house. That's all short term.
I'm so sorry. And as my photographer is panning through, the neighborhoods are all leading up to the ridge of what's been just devastated by the fire that came through. Thank you so much for sharing your story. We really, really appreciate it. And we really wish you guys all the best of luck. I can't imagine what you guys are going through.
In Altadena, some residents are allowed back to survey the loss of their homes.
Yeah, we want to get back to our Jeff Nguyen. He is on Alta Pine Drive. That is just east of Lake Avenue. Jeff?
I just had to stop and say I love that reporter for stopping to give her a hug. I know it wasn't like a deep embrace, but like I love that reporter for that. It makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, their empathy still exists, thank goodness.
Yeah.
Well, Amy and Rachel, I want to give you a sense of what folks are doing today as they come home. This family is gathering whatever they can, and out of respect for the Bettis family, I'm not going to touch their belongings, which are now basically artifacts that they have been able to dig out from this wreckage, if you will. Speaking of the Perez family, I'm going to walk over here and join Carlos so you can give an idea of what he's doing, because he's got his shovel and he's going through the remains of his house, trying to salvage whatever he can. Hey, Carlos, if I may, do I have your permission to walk onto your property, sir? So I'm going to join you a little bit. I'm guessing what I'm standing on right now used to be the roof. Is that right?
Yeah, there's the roof over my daughter's bedroom.
You know,
Yeah.
as you mentioned, your daughter's bedroom, I mean, what's it like sifting through what used to be her little sanctuary?
It's kind of shattering, actually. I mean, I'm so used to recognizing everything of hers. She's only 12, and so most of everything that she has is something that we've either given her or been around when she's received it. And now to go through and you can see it's just ash and clutter and dirt, and everything is just kind of monochromatic.
You know, right behind us, when we look through what you refer to as being monochromatic, I can see your pool right there. And I'm guessing that's also a symbol of some of the memories that you and your family created in this backyard.
Yeah, actually, one of the things we first fell in love with when we saw this house was...
Salty, do you remember telling me about the rubble from hurricane damage?
Yeah.
And I had actually watched this video before you told me that, and I thought of this because whether it's hurricane damage or wildfires,
Or tornadoes, right?
or tornadoes, and people lose their homes, they have to go back and sort through the rubble at some point.
This is the hard part because you don't know what you'll find, if anything. And I was just thinking they have an added layer of soot that I don't have to deal with. We have to deal with saltwater damage and sandblasting, but it's amazing what you will recover that you didn't expect to recover just by accident sometimes, buried in the sand. All that sand that washed up into your yard if you're on the coastline. And it's just a lot of things. And when all you have left is rubble and all you can do is go through it, you learn what matters in your life and what don't. And there's things you cannot ever replace in this lifetime, right? No matter how hard you try. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be among that rubble. So what you do find is a godsend. So I really felt for this guy when this started showing, John or Joe. I'm sorry, I just got, because I thought about that. I know what that felt like. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I
They
think
have that
that's
added
the
layer,
part.
though. I mean, the stuff they
Yeah.
find is going to be recoverable. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I want to show the human interest aspect to it, though, and the fact that
Yeah.
he's literally standing on the roof of his daughter's bedroom with a shovel, trying to find something of hers that they can keep.
I have things that, we found that we were surprised to find. We had things that were far, far away across the street in the woods. We've never recovered a lot of things. Don't know where it went, but you're grateful for what you can get out of it, but it's not easy to go back and do all that. It's a struggle.
The view from the second floor onto the backyard with that spectacular tree and the pool and just the vista. And right now it looks terrifying and apocalyptic, but on any other day, it was just this beautiful view of where we live. And then we have the mountains on the other side. And so, yeah, we had so many incredible memories with the pool. And I got here and I looked down at the pool full of water, and the irony of it is inescapable. Like, there's all this water, and then it was useless.
And from the looks of your property, it seems like you did everything right. You had all the clearance behind your house and around your home, but nonetheless, the fire just swept through here.
Yeah, when we were leaving, we could see it surging on the ridge over there above Avison, the school where my daughter went to for elementary school. It got destroyed. And when I came back the first time, I actually saw what was basically like sheets of embers just flying everywhere across the street and then the driveway. And it looked impossible. And I think that there was just no way for anybody to prevent this. Yeah.
You and your family left Tuesday night when the fire broke out.
Yeah, that's correct. At about 8:15.
Can you kind of share with us, what happened that night, the decision process, and what you were able to
I do
gather?
want to hear this
Sure.
story.
So around 8 o'clock, my neighbor next door, Chris, knocked on our door, and he wanted to tell us about the fire, which we'd already gotten the alert to. So I walked down the end of our driveway, looked at the fire, immediately thought about some friends of ours who live really close to that. So I jumped in the car to drive to their house to make sure they knew and to see if they needed anything. They were already on their way out. They packed their car. They'd lost power. And at the moment when I saw it, there were so many fire trucks, so much emergency equipment there that I actually thought, oh, this will be okay, despite the wind that we were feeling. By the time I got back to the house, my wife and my kids were already packed in the car because they'd been getting the alerts and they were terrified, understandably. And so we kind of loaded up quickly. I think our belief at the moment was that this was only going to be for a night or two. We really didn't think that this evacuation was going to be this profound. And so then we spent that night at a school. A friend of ours works at a private school, and she was able to get us access to it. Her house was also in an evacuation zone along with another friend. And so we all took refuge at the school. We've been sleeping there for the last couple nights.
I talked to another neighbor who said he just got out with the clothes on his back. And so important documents, baby pictures, social security cards, all that stuff gone. What's the situation with your family? Were you at least able to get photo albums or baby pictures or birth certificates?
No, literally the same. It was just so immediate. It's kind of comical. The shoes I'm wearing are the worst shoes for something like this. And normally I'm a kind of person who's very prepared and likes to go into situations, do it with all the right equipment. Actually, all my equipment is up there and burnt. And so I didn't even have the right shoes to leave because I just firmly believed we'd be back.
You just left with your clogs?
Yeah, that's it.
In terms of digging through your daughter's bedroom, was that a deliberate choice to start here and perhaps find something to help comfort your daughter? Is that why, or is that's just the closest spot that you can get to for the time being?
It's a bit of both. I think it's the safest spot. There's some little gas leaks down there, and I want to avoid those. And there's some embers underneath that I noticed. And I also was really hoping.
Yeah, I can still see the rubble down there smoking. Like there's still some smoldering going on.
Man, that is, oh man.
And he's wearing clogs.
Yeah, I feel that in my soul. But man, that's dangerous. You couple all the other factors into it.
Yeah, and the clogs, make me think of 2 points. Number one, he probably shouldn't be out there in smoldering rubble wearing clogs, but also the process to go about getting any type of reimbursement from your insurance company is a lengthy process. When I lost my house to a house fire, State Farm was actually really, really good to me, and they got me replacement clothing and stuff like really quickly. The agent, that particular State Farm agent, was somebody who had been my dad's agent for years, if not decades, and knew him really well. So they treated me right. But I mean, if there are literally hundreds of thousands of people displaced and out of clothes and out of just basic daily necessities, then how long does it take to get a pair of
all at one time?
Yeah.
And we had you and I talked about that a little bit. Like with here, I was telling Joe about the Red Cross. Even an agency like that to impact a community so vast, their resources, are what they are, but they come in hard, and immediately we're told here it's going to take a minute to get anything done. And if you want to reach out to the Red Cross, you should do it by phone. And I remember that it was like etched in my brain because they had warned us about Ivan and the conditions it was going to bring that we weren't used to, storm surge. And so that stuck in my head for some reason because I was a junior Red Cross member, right? And so after the storm, I called them, and I promise you the next day they rolled up into my neighborhood that was very difficult to get down, met me in the yard of this rubble, and handed me a gift card. to go buy the clothes, like you said, the necessities, right, that you didn't have any longer. It's one thing to get a place to go, but what are you going to do when you get there? You have nothing, right? Not even a change of clothes. So it's a godsend to get that stuff. And, you know, it's important that they get the resources they need to continue their work and things of that nature. But when you overwhelm the system, like you're talking about with the insurance companies, it delays everything, right? We experience that here. It's crazy because it's such a
Yeah, and the
large amount of
insurance
people.
and to be honest, the insurance company isn't equipped to handle 500,000 people filing claims all at one time. Probably, I mean, that would be a
Yeah.
nightmare. That would be a nightmare.
Business, you know, you got your private citizens and your businesses all doing it. And
Yes.
does FEMA come in like, because I know they, you know, hurricanes, they come, tornadoes, they go. I'm sure they go in during these wildfires, right?
Yes, FEMA is first in. The EPA
Yeah.
comes in, and then in this case here, particularly the Army Corps of Engineers came in.
Exactly.
And
They're a godsend. I'll tell you that right now. They're like the
and
first
they
deployed.
Yep. And they were, in this case, the Army Corps of Engineer were first in to help clear out the damaged properties.
Yes.
And
They do
we'll
that
take
here
we'll
as
take
well, Joe. It's part, I
yeah.
think it's like part of just the natural like planning, emergency planning, is to get those guys in first because of what they can do, right? Like just to get in there and clear things and make a way for emergency responders to get in. And they're usually the first deployed here after hurricanes.
Yeah.
In the main where the I cross devastated area. You know what I mean?
Right. So I think we'll watch the rest of this interview with this guy, and then we'll probably get into our video.
And I have to go just reset ourselves somewhere.
You know, I think it's cliched or colloquial, depending upon how you look at it, but a home is the symbol of the American dream. And I don't know, was this the first home you owned, or for you, you know, what's the meaning behind this home for you?
This was the first home that my wife and I ever came home to, where we both would walk inside and just say, we love it here so much. We love the community. We love the feeling of walking into the house. We love the light in the living room. We love the silence of the bedroom. So in many ways, this was like a dream space to be in. And even just the location, for people who've never been here before, it's a spectacularly beautiful area, but it's so vulnerable. And I think now we're getting to experience just how vulnerable and brutal it can be too.
Well, I'm certainly sorry to hear that you're considering moving away, and I thank you for being so gracious to us. And after hearing that, I think the best thing for me to do is to just give you some space and give you a little bit of a break. So thank you for sharing those thoughts and emotions. And I know they're very raw right now, and it's so gracious of you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Carlos. So if I may, why don't I just give Carlos some space, and if I may, I just send it right back to you on the anchor desk.
Residents are coming back to.
I thought he handled that pretty well. He was a little awkward with his questioning, but then I am too at times, so I'm not going to fault him for that. It's a difficult situation. But if you noticed, he said we're probably going to go settle somewhere else. Not the reporter, but the man on his smoldering pile of ruins said we're probably going to settle somewhere else. So I asked the county representative that I talked to, and it was somebody who wasn't going on the record and wasn't going to talk to me on the record, but they said they don't have an accurate count right now as of this minute of how many residents that were temporarily displaced are also now permanently displaced and have moved away. So, I mean, we will look at a map in a little bit after our video of the extent of the damage and where they are in their repairs and the restoration, the demolition aspect of it. But there's no numbers that they could give me for how many residents were permanently or are still temporarily displaced. They just have no metric, no way to measure that. All right, we're going to get into it now. This is a labor of love, like Dizzy said. And so we're going to see drive through within the last couple of weeks of these areas up in the Altadena Eaton Fire area. And Dizzy did street view drive-throughs first in each of the segments, so you could see what the properties look like before, and then you can compare to what the properties look like after. And I'm just going to mute out, and I'm just going to let the video play, and we can talk about it afterwards. Wait, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. They look the same. Oh, I'm starting to play this live again. How do I get it to stop? There we go. All right. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. No, that's the right one. That's the right one. I got confused. It doesn't take much if you can't tell, because it was the same intro we had for this. Here we go. I'm starting back up. It confused me, Dizzy. I'm sorry. It totally confused me. I'm going to go at it one more time. Here we go. Thank you for your patience and your forgiveness.
ground destroyed. Great local, locally owned small business. Across the street from the church, burned to the ground. Just down the street from Side Pie, across the street from another church that was burned down. My neighbor's church also burned down. Just here a few months ago for her husband's funeral. Social issues that was found some really nice community. Luckily, they're still able to meet and still have that community, just not built.
Yes, I know I'm still muted. No, I'm not. So were you able to watch that, Salty?
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts? Well, first of all, Dizzy did an amazing job. Thank you very
Yes.
much, Dizzy. That was an amazing job. Very well done. It gave us the before and after for a lot of those areas, showed us a couple of meaningful places that got destroyed. So thank you for that, Dizzy. And all right, Salty.
Yeah, those first 3 to 4 months is pretty hardcore because once the media does fade away, you have to keep going back into your community, like recovery efforts or whatever, and you see these piles of rubble because you're told to put everything to the out by the curb and you pile things. And so, of course, you got businesses that's going to be a much larger pile, but then you got the homes and you just ride down the street and that's all you see for months on end. And you wonder, is recovery ever going to start? And it takes a minute to get everything into play and to reach into all of the neighborhoods, right? You can't go into all of them at the same time. So it's like you have to wait your turn, basically. But it's long-term effect, right? So then and then at some point living in those conditions, you wonder, well, we're not going to stop it. So what can we do about it? And then you go into recovery mode, and these people go into recovery mode, right? You break down later because right now you got to recover. And what are you going to do? Because that's total devastation. Like everything, the homes, the businesses, the schools, all the things, the church, so where do you even start? So you have to go back to recovery and getting these people back on their feet, which is why it's important to donate if you feel necessary to things of this nature, right? Because the impact is so overwhelming and can be such a long time to recover from. If you don't have the means after a hurricane to go get a camper real quick to put on your property to replace your home until you get everything going, you got to go on the FEMA list to hopefully get a trailer eventually. Thank God it's not tents like it was during Andrew. They learned and got these crappy trailers, but okay, we'll take it. And it just takes a long time. And to go, like I said, if you want to go rent another house because you can't go home, is the inventory available? No, it's not, because everybody needs a home now. And people say, well, y'all shouldn't live there. My family's been here for generations. I don't know where else to go. And do I pick my poison?
Yeah, and
Tornadoes, hurricanes, wildfires, earthquakes? No, thank you. I'll deal with the hurricanes. I know them, right? So the impact, though.
The interview with that lady was really impactful because she said We have to tell our 3-year-old
Yeah,
that
you do.
he has no school and he has no home. And
Yeah.
we love Altadena. We love this community. The guy that was on his roof said, we love this community. So that's their home. That's where they wanted to be. That's where they loved to
Yeah.
be.
And you know, then what recovery is one thing, prevention, what can you do? I don't think there's a lot you can do there. I don't know what kind of building materials they would even try to attempt to, repel these here after Hurricane Andrew went over across one of the narrowest parts of Florida, took off every house in Miami to Homestead, flattened Homestead, Florida. We're like, damn, the roof's going to go no matter what. Building codes went into effect, new ones. Now nobody loses their roof like that, right? It's built to withstand the hurricane strength winds. So is there anything they can do? The money needs to go to funding things like that, funding things like recovery for the people. Because
Well,
what are they to do, right? Where they go?
Florida and California actually have a similar initiative where they're trying to underground all power lines. Like they
Yes.
recognize in Florida because of hurricanes,
Yes.
and in California because of
That's
sparking
awesome, Joe, that they're doing
wildfires.
that there,
Yeah.
right? Any
Yes.
new communities here, they have the underground utilities because of that reason.
Exactly.
They need it more than we do because that spark could cause massive damage over there, right?
It did.
Hurricanes,
It
we have a
has.
warning. We have a warning that hurricane's coming, right? That's the only perk about my brand of weather. I know it's coming. Tornadoes, you got what, minutes that siren goes off? You got the indication from the weatherman, but when that siren goes off, what are you going to do? Get your shit and go to your basement or whatever you got. We don't have those in Florida. But, I know it's coming. That wildfire, that spark, we saw the ring cam footage earlier, how quickly that happened. So it's crazy how they are all devastating, but they all have their different effects, you know what I mean? The way they act. And it's just it's hard to watch that in a way because it takes me back to all of that and I don't want to ever see it again. And here I am coming into hurricane season, but it's all good because people don't the long-term effect, you know what I mean? And how devastating it really can be. And I get these people that want to go back and get their things and they're probably thinking the same thing. What can we do going forward to make this not such a devastating experience if we can do anything at all?
Yeah, they need to get those overhead power line sparks figured out because that's what caused what I
Wouldn't
lived
that
in.
be like the first thing you go for, right? If it's the easiest
Yep.
solution?
And it's a requirement going forward that new developments underground your power lines in most communities in Southern California, but you can't do anything about the ones that are already there and above ground. I mean,
Exactly. We have a lot that are above ground still, right? Even though the newer communities all have to have them, we still have a lot. And up here in the rural area, we have a ton. So getting from here into town after a storm is probably going to be a challenge. I haven't had to experience that yet living here, but I'm not looking forward to it because I already know a highway shuts down. There's only one other option. If it shuts down, I'm gonna sit here a hot minute, but it's okay. I'll try to be prepared as I can, but it's gonna take a minute to clear those roads, the pine trees, the power lines, all the things. So if you can eliminate some of that, by all means do it, right?
Yeah. Yep, and it's a challenge with those huge high voltage lines because when I showed my Google Earth aerial of that, there were like 10 high voltage lines that were going through that one tower and taking a bend point through the national forest. And
Yeah,
it would be
you don't want to mess with a
be
hot line, right?
yeah. Well, and just to bury them, say you required power companies to bury their lines. That's going to take billions, if not trillions of dollars across the state of California to do that.
Yeah.
But
what's
State
the
Farm is
trade-off?
probably, exactly. State Farm is probably paying out billions of dollars, and FEMA and the Army Corps. I mean, what's the trade-off? Yeah. something to consider. So let's see where they're at. So I got from Los Angeles County when I was putting this together, Eaton and Palisades fire recovery. Right of entry form is one of the things that's interesting on this. Let's put us back up there on the side. We can do this. There we go. Now we're here. Right of entry form, fire debris removal, rebuilding resources, one-stop permit center. So they've put together a really nice website that's like a one-stop shop for people who have been affected by it. But what you learn here is that there are multiple steps and phases to go through to get to be able to rebuild on your property if your house was destroyed. And obviously the very first part of that is debris removal.
Yep.
And the US, well, let me say this, when I watched that video and the video footage, and once again, thank you, Dizzy, very much, because she was challenged with putting together like 20 different videos of our field correspondent. He didn't just go out there one time and just like roll his phone for 2 hours and then send it in. He had to take multiple trips out there and multiple paths and multiple locations, and we just uploaded them to a common folder, and she took those and put those together like that. So that was an amazing job to be able to put it together that succinctly. But one thing that I noticed in looking at that is that there are properties out there that are in a decent stage of debris removal and site clearing and potentially getting ready for a new house to be built there. But then there are also properties that look like it just happened yesterday, and there's still burnout cars on the street. There's still burnout cars in the driveways. There are burnout cars stacked on top of burnout cars. And I'm like, what's going on? Why are not all of the properties cleared?
It depends. There's a lot of factors.
There are, and one of the main factors is this right here, the right of entry form. So the Army Corps of Engineers is who was tasked with the two-phase clearing of properties. So first of all, they have to clear, let's see, debris removal. So here we go. We'll pull this up. Phase 1 is hazardous material removal. So hazardous materials are going to be your chemicals like gasoline, and I don't know what all is included in that list. But then there's the non-phase 2 is the non-hazardous debris removal, and the Army Corps is responsible for both of those. But to get to be able to do those, if you're a homeowner, you have to give the Army Corps of Engineers a right of entry to enter your property to be able to complete that two-phase debris removal. And clearly, it looks like a lot of homeowners did not opt for that. They didn't want the Army Corps of Engineers coming into their property to do that for one reason or another, whatever that is. So they're in various stages of that. I thought we saw a map. There's a map here that shows phase 1 and phase 2 damage maps. Well, let's look at the damage map first. Let's look at the Eaton Fire damage map. Here is an interactive map. This is the Eaton Fire. So let's look at the legend over here on the left first. More than 50% of the home destroyed is bright red, and then major damage 26 to 50%, minor damage 10 to 25%, affected somewhat 1 to 9% is green, inaccessible gray, and no damage is black. So we see a lot of the properties around the outside of that are no damage, but look at the amount of completely destroyed homes in the middle there. That's just crazy. destroyed homes 50% or more is like, what's really weird to me is the one home in the middle, the two homes in the middle of the block that were not affected. Like why did they not get destroyed too? Because clearly this fire was just out of control and destroying everything in its path. But yet you have homes in the middle that were not destroyed. Here you have like a whole neighborhood, half of a neighborhood, I'll say. But then you have homes in the middle of it that were completely destroyed. And that's another thing that I saw from the video was, so I lived in Southern California for 3 years, San Diego for the 2007 fire. And the thing that you always looked for when you rented a home, or if people were buying a home, were the clay tile roofs, because those are fire resistant. But I saw in the video there were houses with asphalt shingle roofs that were perfectly okay right next to properties that had been burned out. Hey, All Eyes, good to see you in here. We're doing a 4-month update on the LA wildfires, the status of properties there. We had somebody in LA, we had a field correspondent in LA go take footage in the field and then brought it back, and Dizzy put together an amazing video that we just watched a little while ago. And now I'm kind of talking about the recovery process and where all the houses are, because that is a shit ton of houses that got completely destroyed. Can you imagine the value of all of those homes combined? And I don't have the stat. Usually I have those. I'm the research guy, right? But have the stat, and I'm sure I could probably Google it right now and come up with, all right, I may have to Google it, but we got other things to look at too. Yeah, concrete even burned out in some places. Exactly, Butterfly. All right, so we zoomed in on that. Structures included, structures not included. Urgently needed info to the public. So resources, debris removal. There is a phase 1 parcel lookup. Does this have an interactive map? This has an interactive map. This is what I wanted to see. So phase 1 is complete. So phase 1 are properties that had hazardous materials that were removed, and then others were just deferred to phase 2, which means there were no hazardous materials on the property. This is the Altadena fire, or the Eaton fire in Altadena. So deferred to phase, oh wait, there's text here. Deferred to phase 2 means physical hazards exist on the property that prevent the EPA from coming in and safely accessing the property. Okay. So the ones in purple, they couldn't even access the properties to evaluate them for debris removal. But also another thing that we noticed in the video was that there were a lot of work crews out there. There were a few people in like Tyvek suits, like hazmat type of people. I don't know that they were necessarily hazmat suits, but they could have been. They were Tyvek, or they could have been just in phase 1 removal or phase 2 removal.
Here are the electric companies. After the debris removal, tree removal, the power lines, you access the neighborhoods and the communities. You have to get rid of certain things before you can do anything else, right? And that's can be a challenge because of the amount of effort and manpower it's going to take. So they, you know, a lot of these places you just have to, they come in first and they check the property for gas leaks, right? Once they get the power lines gone, they can actually get in the places that have gas, because not everybody does. You have just all electric, right? They already know the electricity. They already know where the electrical outages are. But if they come in, they have to get, you know, go in and look for the gas leaks. They'll spray paint on, if there's anything left of your house, like a wall or anything identifying, they'll spray paint and large, a lot of times letters, but it's to let other responders know that house was already checked, right? Because then the homeowners get cleared to go back on the property. I was surprised when that guy earlier was on the property with the gas leak and could see embers. I was like, oh man.
Yeah,
we would get in trouble here for that. We would. It's they had to, some people won't listen. You leave the beach, it's dangerous, and now they, come on. So there's a lot of things, but yeah, it surprised me because I know here they have to make sure they'll go and do sweep an entire community, right? And then open that community up to the residents with an identification. Because you don't want everybody just trolling through your net. And believe me, I know what it's like to be standing in your pile of rubble and people just coming down your street just to take pictures. And they're not news media. You don't know who they are. And it's like, really?
They're YouTube. They're content creators.
No, back then it wasn't, right? Back then it wasn't.
Right.
It was locals.
Yeah.
But it was like, give us a moment, right? Just give me a minute. As soon as that road's clear, here they can't, because they heard on the news how bad the devastation was in that area. Of course, everybody's curious. When there's a house floating in the bay, everybody wants to go check that out. But so it's crazy. My house wasn't floating in the bay. It was further down the beach into Var Beach, but there was literally a house floating in the bay. And it was crazy. It sat there for a very long time. I was surprised at how long that house sat in that water. But it was up to the homeowner to pay for it. It became a thing, right? Because he needed to get it out of there. And they gave him plenty of time, but he had to pay for all that. And debris removal it takes a long time sometimes, because that's a lot of debris right there in those areas. Everything was destroyed. And you're dealing with soot and all these kinds of things, and so that's a lot of heavy debris removal. It's so costly.
It is. And
it takes so much time.
Right. And the Army Corps actually came in to do that for the people that would approve it, that would give them the right of entry to their property.
Well, and that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. Why would you not?
Why wouldn't you? Right? I mean, I'm like, sign me up just in case. You never know. But I don't know why. I can't explain California. It's kind of like a couple of the other states I know. I can't I can't explain them.
I had a friend in Indiana that was a pastor, and of course, very, very conservative guy.
We go into Indiana, are we? How'd you know to go there?
Well, because when I moved to California for a while back in the early 2000s, he was like, "What do you want to go to California for? There's so many fruits and nuts out there."
Loaded up the truck and you moved to Beverly?
Yeah, before striking black gold.
Black gold, Texas tea. Wow, I remember that. Oh my God. I just aged myself big time. I don't care. I don't care. I own it.
Let's see. I've got that video. I'm going to get there in a second. Hold on. Don't get ahead of me. All right.
I think it was in reruns when I saw it, so maybe
yeah. It started out
in
right. It started out in black and white, but it ended up in color. So kind of like
you're right.
Kind of like Andy Griffith's show, right?
Right. Exactly. Perfect example.
All right. So this is the EPA's involvement. They came in. So FEMA comes in first, and then they call in EPA, and then they call in the Army Corps. So this is EPA. This is in the middle of it. So this is their progress of checking homes. And this is the Palisades fire. We'll go back and we'll check the Eaton fire too after this. The Palisades fire, I believe, actually started first. But this is their progress from January 16th to February 26th. So over the course of about 5.5, 6 weeks. And this is them clearing sites of hazardous materials. So that's a big chunk of land and a bunch of homes. I think Malibu itself might be west of there a little bit. So I don't think that's Malibu. Let's zoom out a little bit. Oh, see, there's other homes off to the west. Here's Malibu off in the lower left corner. So it didn't quite affect as much of Malibu, but it affected the Pacific Coast Highway on the way to Malibu, which is how those rich people that own homes along the ocean get to their homes along the ocean, is on the Pacific Coast Highway. But oh
Yeah,
my gosh,
exactly. But
look at that. So we did a project out there in Malibu on one of those properties one time, and my son was out there, and he swears that he saw a celebrity go by in a convertible. And I'm like, if you didn't get a picture, it doesn't count.
probably did though.
Probably
Considering the area.
so. Yes.
Probably so, considering the cost of that real estate. I mean, ooh, that's a
It
lot.
might have
You
been.
know, could you
It might have
imagine?
been.
I cannot. So let me. You live there and you have family there. The insurance on a place like that. Holy cow! Insurance is
Yeah.
high in Florida, right? So I could imagine what the insurance on a home of that size, that caliber, the price tag attached. Man, that's probably a hefty bill. And does it pay out in the end?
Right. We are going to
Right?
look at a page from State Farm here at the end of this, where they did actually stop issuing new policies and stop renewing existing policies a couple of years ago. And it was before the wildfires that they started doing that. So you can imagine. All right. So here's the Palisades. Why isn't that one want to go like the other one? Here's the Eaton Fire. All right, we're going to play this one. This is the EPA's response to the Eaton Fire from January 16th-ish to the end of February-ish. So they're just going through house by house, property by property, evaluating hazardous materials, non-hazardous materials that need to be cleared by the Army Corps of Engineers, who's coming in next. So that's that. That's a big. There are a lot of properties in there. And yeah, they may not be priced in the Malibu range of property prices because they're not, the further away you get from the ocean, the less your property is worth, but I can tell you they're not cheap. All right. Now we're going to hear a public service announcement from the Army Corps of Engineers. And I will tell you that the person that I spoke to at Los Angeles County did say that the Army Corps of Engineers came in fast and they came in hard and they responded like better than this person has ever seen them respond to any emergency before. So kudos to the Army Corps of Engineers to coming in and getting shit done. If you noticed in some of those, in some of the video clips that we watched earlier, there are these long tubes that are stretched out like around the perimeter of either building pads or along the street curb. And those are for pollution prevention. So they're protecting the neighboring properties from the subject property from pollution running off from those and getting into the storm drainage system, because we know the storm drainage system goes directly into the ocean there in Southern California, like it's a straight shot. So there are usually not very many measures unless you do them above ground. So that's what those long tubes were for, kind of like sandbags, but stretched out into tube form. And they're not full of sand. Well, some of them are full of sand, but they're usually like a material that absorbs toxic material so they don't run off into neighboring properties or into the storm drainage system. All right, here we go, buddy. You're going to get your 1 minute of fame on my channel. No, don't be muted.
United States Army Corps of I'm Major General Jason Kelly with the United States Army Corps of Engineers. I want to personally reassure the people of Los Angeles County that we're here to support you as you recover from this devastating wildfire. Our mission is clear. Remove the fire, ash, and debris safely, quickly, and with great care for the community and environment. This is not just...
Let me blow that up so we can see it better. But if you notice, this dump truck has a plastic liner on it. That is to prevent leakage from hazardous materials from spilling out of the back of that dump truck. Or yes, because if you just put that straight in the back of a dump truck, there are all kinds of leaks and cracks and crevices in the back of a dump truck. Some of that stuff is leaking out as they're going down the road.
Yeah, you can't
ever get
do that.
No, you ever get behind a garbage truck going down the road and they're like, I'm going to back off like about 10 car lengths.
There's so many, you know, the rules and regulations to that type of debris removal that they have to take those measures, you know, and if there's, you know, there's rogue companies that will come in here. We have to watch for the price gougers and the illegal contractors. You know, they come in and dupe the old ladies who need a roof real quick, you know, and they're unlicensed, right? And they take our money and run. People want to sell gas on the corner, you know, in case you don't have any gas, because everybody don't have no gas. All the gas stations are closed, but there's a guy on the corner got a bunch of gas all of a sudden, and he's selling the shit out of it. Not here, not
can you
there's
imagine?
laws against that now, right? We price gouging. You get try that here.
Right. But can you imagine in California? I mean, they already have horrible traffic situations. The roads are horrible.
Yeah.
The interstates are horrible. Can
It
you
is
imagine
bad, right?
coming home from work and you've got like an eighth of a tank of gas and you're like, I'll get more gas on the way to work in the morning. And then that night your neighbor comes over and is like, well, you got a half an hour to leave before the fire gets here and you got to evacuate your family with an eighth of a tank of gas. I mean,
yeah,
got to be better prepared than that.
I never liked parking the car at night with a little bit of gas in it, thinking I'll get it tomorrow morning. What if something happened overnight? I always thought that. And then lo and behold, something did happen overnight. But the day before, when I spoke to my daughter, I said, well, I'm going to go into town because it was a drive to town. I said, I'm going to go get some gas. Something's just telling me, go get gas in the car and get all the things and just chill. I didn't know I was going to need that gas hours later in the middle of the night. Right? So that I'm like, I have a thing now where I don't like parking my car, or when I had the car, that I didn't like it to be that low because you don't ever know, right?
Yeah. Hopefully the older we get, the
Yeah.
smarter we get, right?
But you don't always think about that kind of thing, you know, on the daily. Sometimes you're in a hurry. You got to get to the house. You got to cook supper, do all the things. Sometimes it happens, right? But you would like to think you're prepared, you know, most of the time, but it's, you know, you can't blame them if they're not, you know, at the same time.
Right. No,
you don't expect the
it's
gas station not to be up and running in the morning, right? Where you go get your coffee every morning in your damn gas. You would expect that tomorrow morning would be no different. So, yeah.
I would have gas station PTSD after that, though. I'd be like, my tank is going to be full.
Yes, trust me.
Night.
Trust me. That's why I don't like, you know, I don't have to worry about that anymore. Kind of glad of that. But yeah, it was the thing for me after that. I was like, no, that thing needs gas in it at all times.
This is not just about clearing properties. It's about helping families rebuild their lives. We're working closely with local officials, environmental experts, and community leaders to ensure that this cleanup is thorough and done with integrity. Safety remains our top priority, and we're committed to keeping the public informed every step of the way. If you have questions about debris removal, hazard trees, or next steps in the recovery process, please reach out to the United States Army Corps of Engineers Wildfire Debris Call Center. We're here for you, and together, we'll get through this.
That was a good little PSA. I like that. We're going to roll right into another video about, but not from, the Army Corps of Engineers debris removal.
Now at 3:30, thousands of Pacific Palisades homes have been deemed too toxic for clearing and will need a second phase of cleanup. Now, according to the EPA, the homes were deemed unsafe for phase 1 removal because of persistent hazardous conditions.
Until the properties are cleared, residents will not be able to rebuild. KTLA 5's Aaron Myers has the latest details from Pacific Palisades.
The EPA has cleared about 9,200 properties of hazardous materials, but there are still several thousand in both the Palisades and Eaton fire areas that are not safe for their teams to be. So now the Army Corps of Engineers will step in. The EPA finished phase 1 of their work in the Palisades and Eaton fire areas earlier this week, removing household hazardous waste from properties.
So we have teams go in and physically remove household hazardous materials from the properties, as well as lithium-ion batteries and other battery and e-waste from the properties.
Thousands of properties, though, still have physical safety hazards that make it unsafe for EPA teams to be on the ground. So now the Army Corps of Engineers will take the lead during phase 2 cleanup.
We, for this mission, do not have heavy equipment with us to help remove those physical safety hazards like the beams and the debris that you see behind me here. So we have to defer those properties to phase 2 to the Army Corps, who as a part of their mission does have that right equipment and expertise to deal with those physical hazards on the properties.
Residents cannot begin rebuilding until properties have been cleared, but officials say deferring the properties to the Army Corps shouldn't change the time frame when it comes to the rebuilding process.
The Corps is already here, right? They're following right behind us. And as soon as we defer a property to phase 2 for the issues we've discussed, it goes right into the Corps bucket to kind of address that property.
Fire debris has also made its way into the ocean, leading to an ocean water advisory from Las Flores State Beach to Santa Monica State Beach. Sediment tests are being done, and the county's Department of Beaches and Harbors has been removing debris on a daily basis. At this time, beachgoers are encouraged to stay out of the water.
But an ocean, you think you want to stay out of that water? So I lived pretty close to the ocean for one of my 3 years in Southern California. And it was on a lagoon that fed into the ocean. And every time it rained, which it didn't all that often, but every time it rained, that lagoon would get frothy and gross, and it would stay that way for like 4 or 5 days. So, and that was because of all the pollution that all the surface runoff would carry down towards the ocean, because it all goes downhill, right? It's going to get to ground zero at some point, or elevation zero. And it carries all those pollutants with it. And how many more pollutants are coming down from the burned out fire properties? Definitely not going swimming in that. I probably wouldn't go swimming in it right now. I mean, I might dabble my toes along the edge of the water and then go rinse them off pretty quickly, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Gulf oil spill. Couldn't go in the water for a very long time.
Oh, yeah.
I've had some experiences in my life, haven't I? Couldn't go in that water for a really long time. The cleanup was devastating. You had to wear all kinds of hazmat suits just to be a part of the cleanup team, even if you volunteered.
Right.
And they needed volunteers. It was massive cleanup.
Ocean water quality advisory does not mean do not go to the beach at all or do not go in the water. It's very much we really advise you to stay out of the water, but if you do decide to go in, it's at your own.
I think she just gave conflicting information. I think she just contradicted herself. I find it funny. I'm not making fun of her, but we're not saying stay out of the water, but we're kind of saying stay out of the water. But if you do go in the water,
enter at your own risk. You make the decision. It's your call. It's your call. We're going to tell you what's going in there, but still your call.
Your own risk, but please stay out.
We could see rain in the next couple of days, so there are some concerns for teams in those fire areas. But the EPA tells me with previous storms, they were still able to do their work. Reporting here in Pacific Palisades, I'm Aaron Myers, KTLA 5.
I got to see what's next before I share the next one if I'm ready to or not. Let's see what's next. Oh, yes. Yeah. So I'm going to highlight the charities again real quick, because everything, all the super chats and all the super stickers today go to these two charities. I'm not going to grift any more than that. I'm trying to be more on the publicity side of things. And if you do send a super chat or a super sticker today, then it's all of it, 100% is going to the two charities. Do I still have those web pages up? I probably don't. I probably closed them out. So I got to open them back up. Boom, there's one. And then we'll get into that last video that I think is pretty important for people recovering. StreamYard, here we go. Present. Present, is it present or present? It's present. So the Wildfire Recovery Fund, again, I think this is the most important part of this foundation. They've raised $30 million and have supported almost 200 nonprofits associated with the recovery from the wildfires. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. That's an organization that is run right. And then the one that I have a personal connection to through third person is the Eaton Fire Resource Hub. This is the big one that was up there against the mountains. So there are resources, donations, articles. So a lot of good stuff in there for people that are still going through the recovery. And speaking of people going through the recovery, this is a pretty important video right here.
We're here today to talk about the county's response to the wildfires. From day one, the county has been on site to be here for the residents. We have been at the evacuation shelters. We've been at the fire impacted entry point sites. We've been at the disaster relief centers, providing emotional support, counseling, crisis intervention, and other mental health services. The Department of Mental Health is here to provide the support people need to recover and heal in the face of this trauma. We've heard a lot, especially from parents who don't know how to talk to their children about what's happened. So we have resources too to help parents work with their kids, help guide them through, create some sense of normalcy, and create a healthy environment so that we can all heal through this together. Our website is a wonderful link to our resources, and that is dmh.lacounty.gov. We also have our crisis mental health line, which is 1-800-854-7771, as well as the 988 suicide and crisis line. Our hope is that we reach people when they need us the most. We're here today to talk about the county's response to the wildfire.
We're not repeating. Actually, that next one is a pretty good one. I do like the next one after this, but I do want to talk about the mental health aspect first. I mean, because that's a part of it that's hard to understand if you haven't been through a natural disaster or a personal disaster, but most of us have at this point. But I think it's really cool that the county is actually out there proactively providing resources for people who suffered through this. So that was a pretty cool video. I dig it. I dig what they're doing. I think the whole country could use a lot more of efforts like that. Mental health services for all kinds of people. call it preventative medicine. When you go through losing your home or losing a loved one, or even say losing a vehicle or property of some kind, I mean, it just seems sometimes it can have a ripple effect in your life. And if you don't have that mental health support, it can cause bad ripples.
The three things you just mentioned, the house, the vehicle, the loved one, all within 6 months of each other. And it can take a very big emotional toll, especially when you got to ride down the street for months looking at the debris. Just to remind you over and over and over, right? And it took a very smart doctor to make me aware of what I was going through and dealing with, because I didn't feel that. PTSD is for soldiers, right? That was my mentality. I didn't serve in the war. I wasn't in the military. We may got PTSD. He's like, did you just listen to everything that you've experienced within that tight little timeline there? I'm like, well, oh, and it hit me, and he started explaining it to me, and he was right. Just going down the road. So getting that resource needs to be there. You're right. It's so important, because that's one of the things that lacks. Going back to the property just to get the recovery effort with your shovel is a mind game, because you're in disbelief. You even got to do it to start with, right? And then the emotional toll it takes just to do it, and the physical toll, and all the things come into play. So all of it is so important, and the support sometimes fades away, right? And you that's what we're trying to prevent, like, because the long-term effect and how long it takes to recover, it needs to match, right? The funding, the availability, the resources need to match the time it takes to recover, just to get housing, the basics.
Yeah, and it's so important to recognize the multiple facets of recovery. It's not just trying to rebuild your house or get your car back.
It's your life, right?
Yes.
The car it began to float down the damn street, and it was like a full-size Chevy conversion van. It's like, what the hell? The boat floats away. It was like crazy. Things you don't expect to happen are happening, right? And then what do? You got nothing. So you got to figure it all out and start all over. And that is challenging when it takes time. And so you have to have some sort of resources a lot of times. So even if you have a job, right? If the only business booming at that point is construction. If the restaurant's devastated, you can't go to work. If the dry cleaner is destroyed or got a roof damage, you can't go to work. If the car parts place or wherever you may work, the grocery store, the bank, there could be damage and you can't go to work. It's crazy, the impact that it has long term.
Yeah, and our society and our culture is that it's shameful to go and have to seek help, like to admit that you might need help. To admit that you might need help is a tough thing to admit, and especially if you're
I could tell. I mean, I was struggling, right? I was like, man, what the hell? It's like a double whammy, it felt like. And I knew something wasn't right, that I was experiencing something I had never experienced before. The hurricane alone was devastating, of just going through the aftermath, going through it, and then the aftermath, but it's what do you do going forward to help with the recovery efforts, right? I'm so big on that. The recovery efforts, prevention, think the education to the public about what not to do and what to look for and how to prepare. Preparedness says a lot. If you see that spark and you need to go, I do what I get your shit and get back. Have it ready, right? We have hurricane supplies that I need to have on standby and ready to go at all times. So I don't gotta worry about it. All the birth certificates have to be in one place in a fireproof box at all times. So I can just grab that box and go. the picture albums and all that, you can't take everything with you. You have to try to figure out what's the most important and the most necessary. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And take that.
If you do need mental health, I think Dizzy makes a good point here. She really researched this one charity that we're supporting through this. They have really good mental health resources and services for victims of the fires. So that
Because it helps, it really does. Especially when you realize that they understand or whatever, and can help you talk about it and work through it. That's the thing. You have to talk about it and work through it. And if you don't know how, they teach you how. They teach you how to recognize it, right? And I think people need to learn it's okay to reach out. Like I didn't hesitate. I'm that person or that mom, if we got a problem, we're going to go get this fixed, no matter what it is. But I at least I could recognize it, right? That something I just wasn't feeling myself. Everything seemed to depress me, and I've never been a depressed person in my life. That was prior to losing the loved one, because that came a little bit later, a few months later. But then it was like, wow, that's when I realized. But I didn't realize the impact the hurricane had in that. I chalked it up to just, of course, losing the loved ones.
And that's probably how some of these people that were affected by the fires probably feel. They're like, I can handle it. Like when I had my house fire, it's just like, I can handle it. It's all right. No big deal. I'll deal with it.
Right. Did you reach out for help? I mean, did you?
I did not. I did not until it became a dire need for me to. And then I did.
Yeah. Yeah. At least you recognize that eventually, and met it head on. So
I'm not hard-headed at all.
Not at all. You're just a man, Joe. I had to throw that in there.
So I want to wrap this up with like a celebratory type of video just from the Army Corps. It's actually published by... Yeah, go ahead.
I don't mean to interrupt. I just want to say before it gets too late, my voice is going away from all that document read earlier. Dizzy, you did a fantastic job, love. Thank you for all you did there. Your production was fantastic, girl. So thumbs up. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Dizzy. Amazing job. We got it. We're going to post that video by itself. I don't know. Maybe the idea is to post it as a members only video and eventually release it as a public video. I don't know. We'll figure it out, but we're definitely going to release that video by itself so y'all can go check it out and, take your own little tour like we just did. I didn't do any commentary. I resisted the urge because I really wanted to be commenting during that, but I wanted everybody to feel the impact of it without me getting in the middle.
They all know us by now. We're going to be commentating, right? But yeah, just letting it play and that shows the impact of it,
Oh, dang. I completely forgot about the State Farm insurance thing. State Farm insurance.
Like a good neighbor.
Yeah. So here's their article that I pulled up. State Farm General has made difficult decisions to attempt to responsibly limit overexposure in high-risk areas. To responsibly limit overexposure in high-risk areas. How about you just have high-risk premiums in high-risk areas? That's how insurance works. Like, you don't just say you can't have any insurance. I mean, people that live in flood zones have to pay flood insurance. People that have a bad driving record have to pay a higher premium for their automobile insurance. People that have high blood pressure or a history of something or other have to pay higher for life insurance premiums. So the decision to completely cut this out is what this is about right here.
They've tried the same tactics here.
In May 2023, State Farm General made the difficult decision to stop writing any new policies. This is in California. Yeah. This is commercial and residential insurance, liability and property damage. In a detailed letter to CDI in March of 2024, State Farm General said the swift capital depletion of State Farm General is an alarm signaling the grave need for rapid and transformational action. State Farm General still insures high concentrations of risks. So these are prior policies that they had before they decided to stop issuing new policies or renew old policies that could generate financial losses multiple times larger than the company's surplus. There's something up here. Here we go. This is a big one right here. The costs of the January 2025 wildfires will further deplete capital from State Farm General. Capital is necessary so an insurance company can pay for any future claims for the risks it insures. So they're looking into the future. They're not looking into the past about who they insured and whose claims they're having to pay out. They're looking at the future. Last year, one rating agency downgraded State Farm's general financial strength rating due to its capital position. With further capital deterioration as a result of the wildfires, additional downgrades could follow. If that were to happen, customers with a mortgage might not be able to use State Farm General Insurance on the collateral backing for their, oh my gosh, what a tragedy. They can't use State Farm General Insurance for collateral backing their mortgage. What does that have to do with a natural disaster and insuring people's homes in the future? That it sounds like a little bit of word salad to me, like a little bit of insurance splaining. I don't know how else to put it. Like they said, I think they said somewhere in here how much they paid out in the 2025 fires, but I don't see it now. Oh, here we go. SFG, that's State Farm General's current estimate of direct losses from the Los Angeles fires, stands at approximately $7.6 billion. Holy cow. Taking into account both reported and not reported claims, estimates SFG's share of total fair plan losses are approximately $212 million, $400 million. After accounting for the reinsurance recoveries, tax impacts, and partial recoupment of SFG's allocation of the fair plan. I have no idea what the fair plan is. Recent $1 billion assessment, the January fires will reduce our surplus, which stood at $1.04 billion after a decline of $300 million, millions and billions of dollars. But that is a big number, $7.6 billion. That's a big number. Did you have more thoughts on that, Salty? Sorry, I wanted to get that article out there because I forgot about it.
No, you're good. Yeah. We've had our battles here with these insurance companies and stuff, and it's a mess, and it costs a lot of money, and wind damage versus water damage and all these things that are ridiculous. And I don't know, got my own thoughts about that stuff. So
yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about insurance companies too. All right, we're going to look at this one last good feel type of thing from the U.S. Army Corps about how many properties. It's kind of a good feel. It's like a bittersweet. They came in and they kicked ass. They really did. Kudos to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for coming in and taking care of business, the Phase 2 properties, and helping people get to a position. But to the people who didn't accept that, who didn't give the right of entry, didn't sign the right of entry forms, and your properties still today look like the fire happened yesterday, I'm not sure what's going on with you. Did you just give up? Did you just say, I'm done with California, or I'm done with this area and they can do whatever with my property? Because what we saw in that video is that Mother Nature will take over a property pretty quickly.
oh yeah, you can't control her. She's going to go where she wants to go, regardless. You can't help it. You can't stop it. Which way is that
No.
wind blowing? You can't.
You'll see trees and weeds and bushes and flowers and grass growing up in all kinds of places. If you just abandon a property, Mother Nature
Yeah.
will take over it eventually.
Oh my goodness, yes.
All right, here we go. U.S. Army Corps. All right. So that's all I've got on this for now. There's so much more information we could have dove into and so many more statistics and research, but I wanted to get the information out there on the 4-month anniversary of the wildfires and give an update on where all that stands. Boots on the ground. Awesome. Thank you for being out there. To our correspondent, and thanks to Dizzy for an amazing job with the video.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was great. It's, to bring me awareness is important.
Dizzy, wait, the state of California is suing who? Is suing the Army Corps? I need details.
Oh goodness. Oh goodness.
All eyes, thanks for hanging in there. We appreciate you listening. Dizzy, you're going to have to give me details on that, but we can go ahead and wrap this. We're going to call this a wrap. It's been 2.5 hours. That's way longer than I intended. Thanks to everybody for hanging in there and hanging with us. Akasha became a new member. Thank you, Akasha. Welcome in. Miss Shorty with your donation. Thank you so much. We appreciate that.
Thank you, Miss Shorty.
And then Butterfly with her donation too.
Yes, thank you, Butterfly, again. You guys are great. Thank you for coming in and listening to it, because it is a devastating thing to live through and survive and then have to rebuild afterwards. There's a lot of resources that need to be available. Outside of long-term recovery, you got to get that short-term recovery going as quickly as possible. And so every little bit helps and counts. You know what I mean? Even clothes that you donate to certain people, like organizations that would donate clothes and shoes to survivors of these types of things.
Yep. Absolutely. We all can make a difference. We all can, one at a time. Thanks, chat. Thanks, mods. Thanks, Salted, for jumping up here and talking about this with me. I appreciate it. As always, appreciate your input.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. Thank you and the team. You guys rock. All right,
Everybody
chat, I'm going to let you go. My voice is starting to go,
Yep.
so I'm going to go for the day. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you. Thank you all for your support. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. We will see you on the other side. If I don't see you tomorrow, have a great weekend. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. And enjoy your family. Enjoy your friends, whoever you hang with. I don't have a catchphrase like ending to everything. But I will catch you on the flip side.
you.